Back here today to do the end of my June wrap-up, my reading wrap-up. So I actually had a pretty good end of June. I mean the whole month altogether, I read about 15 books. So it's pretty much on my lower side, but June was a very, very crazy month. A lot happened in June. I spent like the whole month of June like cleaning and organizing. I got a lot of like listening done, I'll be honest. Like a lot of these are listening books. It was just more busy. I went to ALA for a week, so it was a bit chaotic, and the school year is always a bit busy. Yeah, so I wound up overall I read 15 things. I read 5,661 pages for an average of 188 pages a day. And then my most read genre was romance, which I do agree. I read quite a bit of romance. But I would also say like adult YA fantasy had a big say. I had 6 book with wraps, 11 orthos I read before. So basically everyone this month. I was good for 1. A couple I didn't read, but 11 I read before. I had 4 4-stars, 4 2.5 stars, 3 4 stars, 5 3.5 stars, and 1 3-star. I didn't go anything below that. I had 9 new releases, 3 backlist, 3 last year, 2 physical, 7 audiobook, 1 mixed media, and 5 ebook. My series breakdown is I started 4 series, I continued in 5, I completed 2, I caught up with 4, and I read 3 standalones. Acquired, I read 4 arcs, 4 from Audible, 2 from KU, 1 from the library, 2 from NetGalley, and 1 I owned. I read 3 YA fantasy, 2 YA contemporary, 1 mystery, 4 romance, 1 historical romance, 1 middle grade, 2 thriller and horror, and 1 middle grade fantasy. And yeah, so let's get into it. The first book that I finished in the month was Amari and the Great Nine by B.B. Easton. I keep wanting to call him B.B. Elston, but it's B.B. B.B. Elston. I'm right. This is the second book in the Amari series. I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 stars. It definitely was very different from book 1, but I enjoyed the dynamics. We got a different set of characters to follow, and it was a fun time. I think if you liked book 1, I think you would also enjoy book 2. Book 2 left off on a pretty big cliffhanger that I think is going to change the game for book 3, but I enjoyed it. I thought the dynamics were super fun in the story, and it was great. It gave me like Keeper of the Lost Cities vibe. The world is getting bigger, which I love in like middle grade books. I love when your world expands and you learn more about the world. I like the characters. It was compelling. It was a quick read for sure, and I gave it 4 stars. And then the next book I read was sort of just like one I read when I was on my way to ALA. I read this like during my ALA trip. I read Runaway Love by Melanie Harlow. I will add a photo here. Like as I was running away, as I was leaving. But it was very, very fun. I got this rec from Madison Fox, and it's basically like a single dad romance. And this girl, she's on her wedding day, she's getting married in this super small town, and her boyfriend is kind of a jerk. She finds out her boyfriend's cheating on her, and she is left with nothing. Like everything was in his name. She doesn't have an apartment, she has nothing. So she winds up kind of convincing this dad that she can be a nanny to his 2 twins, and things go from there. I think I like single dad romances. I think I read 2 this month. This one was definitely my favorite. I also read Heartless by Elsie Silver. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But I really enjoyed this. I thought it was fun. I thought that you saw the kids a lot. It was very, very fun. And like it had a forbidden aspect to it, which I did like. But like it was more forbidden for like the characters. The characters, so it was forbidden to like date the nanny. But I really, really loved it. I loved the dynamic between I can't remember her name, the girl and the kids. I thought that was great. It was definitely steamy. More steamy than I necessarily prefer, but that's like a personal preference. But I did like it, and I gave it like 4.5 stars, and I will definitely read the second book in the series because they set up like a family dynamic. I'm all in for like small town romances. They really, really work for me. And then the next 2 books that I read, I'm going to talk a little bit about, but you're going to see a lot more about it in my Reading Blue books. I read Bring Me Your Midnights by Rachel Griffins. This one I really did like. I gave it 5 stars. It's not out yet, but here's a photo. Book by Rachel Griffin. I think this is the book that is going to be a series. So like she normally writes standalone contemporary fantasies, but this is going to be a high fantasy, and I really, really enjoyed this one. I thought it was very Bring Me Your Minutes. Oh no, Bring Me Your Minutes was a standalone. The next one is not. But I really, really like this one. I thought it was a very, very interesting take on like nature. All her books kind of have like a nature element to them and a nature twist, and I like this one a lot. It has a love to hate to more romance, which is not always my favorite trope, but I think it was handled very, very well in this. There was a lot of side characters to play with, but basically you follow this main character, and she's basically like courted to like marry the mayor's son. Magic has kind of been extinguished from the society, or like high magic because it's known as bad magic, and they're dealing with like low magic. But when she's unable to get rid of her magic that basically poisons the environment, things kind of go from there, and some secrets about her past are revealed. I really like this. I gave it 5 stars. It was fun. This is a standalone, so if you were looking for kind of a high fantasy standalone, I would check this one out, but I would love to see this world again because I thought it was super interesting and super unique. And yeah, it was great. I gave it 5 stars. And if I haven't added a photo, I'll add it here. This is the book that I've read. This book is by Adrienne Tooley. It's called The Third Daughter. This is the start of a series, and she normally writes high fantasy standalones. This is a new foray for her, but I really did enjoy it. This is also an LGBTQ plus story. It has vibes of that. I think it's going to be a very, very slow burn romance, so if you're into the slow burn, definitely pick up the series. But here is a photo. Blog tour for this one, so you'll see my full review, and I'm going to talk about it more in that blue book video. But I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 stars. I think it was a little bit slow at the start, but basically you follow this character that I would say it has a lot of anxiety and depression wrap. Basically when this main character gets sad, her veins go black, and when she cries, her tears have power, and her tears like amplify all the potions that she makes, and that's how her family survives, basically on her tears, because they make her powers more potent. But when she accidentally gives the potion to the wrong person and sends the wrong person to sleep, things kind of go from there. And it's a romance between the 2 main characters. It's very much love to hate. They don't like each other, but they're forced to kind of work together, and I really did enjoy it. I think the first half was a bit on the slower side, but once we got to the second half of the story, I was really invested, and I'm going to talk about this more in my blue video when I film that. But I gave it 4.5 stars, and I'm really excited for the sequel. It was set up so well. And then the next book that I'm going to chat about is Missing Clarissa by Ripley Jones. Here is a photo. About the next book, but you're going to hear my dog going ballistic because they're cutting the grass and she cannot see and she's getting very upset. But the next book that I read was Missing Clarissa by Ripley Jones. This is a YA mystery thriller, and I liked it. I think that I definitely liked the audiobook more once I picked up the audiobook because it had dual narration, and I did enjoy that. So I'll attach a photo here. This was a 3-star read for me. I enjoyed it. I thought the audiobook was fun, and it was basically followed these 2 characters, and they kind of used their senior project to do a podcast about a girl that got missing many, many years ago. I saw the twist coming from like a mile away, so like the twist did not shock me, but I did like the production value. I thought the representation was really fun. This is also an LGBTQ plus story. The main character is bisexual, I think. And I really liked it. It was fun. It wasn't my my favorite book I ever read, no. But I would definitely read more by this author in the future. And I did really, really like the production of the audiobook because I love dual narration when I read audiobooks, especially when there's a lot of characters. This had a podcast element, which always works for me, so I gave this book 3 stars. And then the next book that I listened to was also The Night in Question by 2 authors. I'm going to attach a photo here, but this is the second book in the Agatha series. I did the same thing with Missing Clarissa. I liked it. It wasn't my favorite, but I did like that the main character in the story was more prevalent and the mystery was about her. I like that, but basically a character is put into a coma and one of our girls is accused of it, and it's very, very reminiscent of Agatha Christie. I still think I liked Alexa Don's one, Pretty Dead Queens, which had an Agatha Christie element or like a Jessica Fletcher element a little bit more, but I like this. I thought it was fun. I grabbed the audio, which I would definitely recommend. I didn't grab the audio for the Agathas, and I wish I did, but yeah, very, very fun. A very, very like nice murder mystery. Wasn't my favorite ever, no, but I didn't see the twist coming. I just think I spread over too long to read this, and that was why I struggled with it a little bit. So yeah, that is why that is a 4 stars, and if I haven't attached a photo, I will attach it here. In the blooper as an end, my dog does not like the people coming to do the lawn because it hurts her ears. She's a German Shepherd. But, oh my goodness, this dog. Okay, so we're gonna do this. Okay, come here, come here. You want to do the update with me? Come here. Ah. Sit. Oh my goodness, this dog. Sit. Can you stop? What? You know, sorry, she keeps coming in here because my room is where the window is, so she could hear it, and she doesn't understand why there's noise. But everyone and their mother has talked about this book, like everyone in their freaking mother. So I'm gonna touch a photo. You all know what it looks like, but here it is. Sort of like with Runaway Love, pure romance books are not my favorite. I will say that I am really enjoying fathers with kids. I think that that's a fun dynamic. I did like this book. I like seeing the characters from book one from Flawless again. It definitely is building that small town community, which I love in my story because I feel like you really get to know about the characters and not just the romance. It definitely was steamy. I say that steamy books are not always my favorite. I tend to lose interest during those scenes, but it was really, really fun. I loved Willa. I thought that her relationship with the whole of Cade's family was really, really fun. I started listening to Powerless, and then I had to restart it, but really did like it. I gave it 4.5 stars, and I really want to read Powerless because it's friends to more, which is like one of my favorite tropes, so I'm excited for that. But yeah, that was like a 4.5 star read. Everyone and their mother told me to read that book, so like everyone on booktube was like, read it, read it, read it. I have a bit of different likes and dislikes, but I did enjoy it. And then the last physical book that I finished was The Spirit Glass by Rani Chashki. This is her newest book in a Filipino novel. It's like Filipino mythology. It doesn't come out until September, but I got it early at ALA. Actually, this book was actually sent to me, but I got it. So this one was really, really fun. I liked it. I thought it was a 2-part book that was like very, very different. And it is a standalone, which you don't always get in the Required and Present worlds. And again, it may become a series in the future, but it is Filipino mythology. But you basically follow this character named Cora, and she wants to be a Babylon. That is someone that has like magical powers, and her hope for her powers is she could take her parents back from the dead because her parents died. And she gets to see her parents every like weekend on Sunday for a couple of hours, and then they go away. But then something happens when her spirit glass is taken from her, and she has to kind of go on a quest with her pet gecko, which you can see him on the cover, and a ghost friend to kind of save the day. The first half of the book reminded me a lot of Encanto with the house and like the development of the personality of the house, and the second book was very, very quest focused. There are also elements where you learn about the mythology of this world, and I thought Rani Chashki did it in such a wonderful way. And there's also parts where because mirrors have personalities in the stories, and they're portals to like the other world, have moments where you kind of see the world through the mirror's point of view. I really liked it. This book does have a lot of grief elements kind of tied to it in a lot of different ways, and there were some twists and turns at the end that I did not see coming. I remember I got to one part and I like blew my mind. So I really, really like this. I would love to get more stories set in this world following Cora, because this was very much like her origin story, and I would love to see more of her becoming a Babylon. But I enjoyed it. There was a lot of complicated family dynamics, but I really enjoyed it, and I gave it 5 stars. So those are all the books that I read in the second half of the month. Let me know in the comments what was your favorite. If I was just picking kind of from these, I would probably say Bring Me Your Midnights and The Spirit Glass were my 2 favorites. And yeah, let me know in the comments what was your favorite book of the month, and I'll talk to you guys soon for my next video. Bye.